Hey guys, sorry, I just want to take this opportunity to address an issue that is quite upsetting and disconcerting to Sam and I. It relates to the acknowledgement of country that we put at the start of our vids and some of the comments, extremely derogatory comments that we've been receiving back. We've been labelled as virtue signalling. It's been labelled that we are white and therefore this is BS, that we shouldn't be doing this. And many, well not many, but a few other comments that I wouldn't even give airplay to. And I just want to address the reason why we do it and try and put some clarity onto that. Now, when Sam and I set out on this journey, we noted down a number of bucket list items that we wanted to achieve. And one of those things was we wanted to improve our knowledge drastically, because it wasn't very strong, on that 40,000 year history prior to the 250 plus years Australian or white Australian history. Now, we as white Australians celebrate that 250 plus years, but there's no denying there is a 40,000 year history prior to that we don't know enough about. And more importantly, over the last few years in particular, the 26th of January, Australia Day, has become very controversial in that there are many that celebrate it on the basis of white Australia, and there are many that accept it as a solemn day of invasion for the Aboriginal Australians. We are all Australians. We want to learn more about that entire history, and we want to better educate ourselves of both viewpoints, both sides of the argument. Yes, like I said, we respect our 250 plus years.
But I think we've got a higher respect in the small amount of time that we've been here in Tassie for the
40,000 years.
40,000 years prior.
One thing, in that 5 weeks that we've been in Tassie, the information and learnings that we've already gained, quite frankly, are sickening. It's really embarrassing as a white Australian, and I'm now starting to get a very clear understanding of why the 26th of January is it really
upsetting for the Aboriginal.
Yeah. So for us, the acknowledgement of the country is out of respect for that 40,000 year history that we are on a journey to learn more about. Please, if you choose
to respect that we choose to do.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got the time for 5 seconds, 10 seconds of our acknowledgement towards our videos.
Yeah, if you haven't got that 5 seconds time, even if you don't agree with it and you ignore that, that's fine, whatever, that's your call. But
turn your head for 5 seconds.
Our videos are through our eyes, our learnings, our travels, hopefully information that you can garner from if you choose to travel into these areas. But just we have reached out to a number of people that we know with Aboriginal background, and they all back us, they all support us, and all understand the journey that we see ourselves on. Guys, if you want to go to the effort of putting a comment in, please do so, good, bad or otherwise. I like the comments, but don't make them respectful. Don't make them derogatory, and I sure as believe that they should not be racist in their comment. Otherwise, guys, hopefully you enjoy the next vid, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.
Welcome to another episode of Great Aussie Odyssey, and according to Mike, this is episode number 6.
6?
I'm not counting. Welcome to Strahan, where we go on the Gordon River cruise, and we also hit the
West Coast Wilderness Railway.
Because I couldn't get it right.
No, just couldn't.
We've also done another waterfall walk, as well as
just wander around town.
Enjoying
Just
Strahan for what it is.
yeah, Strahan's a great little town.
It's cute little.
On Macquarie Harbour.
Yes.
It has history, and you'll see that in the vids. But it's a great little spot, and it's got, again, similar to Stanley in that it's got those colonial homes that are renovated and well looked after, and it's just it's a great little spot down in the southwest. Good spot to base yourself.
Yeah,
around.
we stayed in the Strahan Golf Club RV park, and it was good. Just first in, best dressed. You pull in, find a spot, pay your fees. It's an honesty box, and set yourself up for whatever Strahan has to offer.
And you'll see that the Tasmania as a state is RV friendly. The free camps, the donation camps, or the cheaper camps are spectacular in great spots. Like Stanley and obviously Strahan, again, both the golf clubs at $10 a night, $40 a week. I mean, you can't go wrong. Absolutely. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoy it. Watch the vid, and we'll talk to you soon.
Grab yourself a drink. Enjoy.
Hey guys, we're in Strahan in Tasmania's southwest. Now Strahan's where you come to go to the Gordon River Cruise, the Wilderness Railway, and also you can base yourself to go up to Zeehan or up to Queenstown to really look around the southwest, and we'll show you some of that footage in due course. While you're here, you can stay at the Strahan Golf Club. It's about a k.5 walk into town along the Esplanade. $10 per night, $40 for a week, and it's an honesty box, so cash only, into the envelope, fill out your details and put it in the honesty box office where they pay their green fees and all that at the golf course. But it's a great site, RV friendly town. Get down, check it out.
Drive in this way, turn left, drive down. Got the golf course on your right. Oval showground on your left.
Set on a quiet bay of the imposing Macquarie Harbour, Strahan is a small, picturesque, frontier-style town with an abundance of character and a variety of stories to tell of the West Coast's pioneering days. From its beginnings as the location for bushmen seeking precious hue and pine, Strahan became the railway port for a rich copper mine inland. Those days are certainly long gone. It was on Macquarie Harbour's southern shore that Tasmania's first penal settlement was established in 1822 on Sarah Island. Mining and forestry operations based around the magnificent Huon pine commenced in the 1880s, making Strahan, the small fishing village now the centre of activities on Macquarie Harbour, the second busiest port in Tasmania 100 years ago.
The award-winning Gordon River Cruise departs from Strahan and takes guests into the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area. Cruising the Gordon River on the purpose-built Spirit of the Wild, you experience quiet cruising under the power of the vessel's electric motors. Seating is allocated to each guest. The main deck offers two seating styles. Main deck central and main deck window are all spacious and comfortable, and including a delicious lunch that showcases Tasmanian produce. The third option is the premium upper deck, including complimentary lunch, morning and afternoon tea, open bar and exclusive viewing deck.
The entrance to Macquarie Harbour on the west coast of Tasmania is known as Hell's Gates. It is a notoriously shallow and dangerous channel entrance to the harbour. The actual channel is between Macquarie Heads on the west and Entrance Island on the east. There is a wider area of water between Entrance Island and Macquarie Head, but it is way too shallow to get a boat over. Between 1900 and 1902, the Macquarie Harbour entrance works involved the building of a breakwater, and the channel was dredged. Parts of the breakwater can still be seen despite the passage of time, and the channel adjacent to the breakwater is known as Kelly Channel. Tasmanian farm salmon has grown to a $1 billion a year business. Its turnover almost more than that of the state's dairy, beef and potato industries combined, with most of the fish sold nationally, the rest headed to export markets, mainly in Asia.
The water here is only around 5 metres, but very soon it is going to narrow up and drop to over 30 metres in depth.
The lower part of Gordon River is part of the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area and contains cold climate, rainforests and rare trees.
Captain Ross, Gordon River Cruises. This is on the Spirit of the Wild, and we're currently cruising up the Gordon River. So we're up here on the bridge
in the wheelhouse, yeah.
In the wheelhouse, and Captain Ross is just going to give us a quick lowdown of the equipment that he's got at his hands.
Right, so probably the most important things are your power, which you've got here, your throttles, both engines, and we're running on the electric engines currently up the river, mainly because they're just so quiet. It's a nice way to travel up here. And I'm steering with the Simrad autopilot. So each time I turn that wheel, the rudder up here will turn 1 degree. So one click is 1 degree. The actual helm on this is this little joystick here, but it's quite hard to get. If I hit that joystick, it'll turn about 5 degrees at a time. So I don't want to look like I've been drinking too much rum and weaving up the river. So I use the little helm here. As far as the other equipment goes, we've got all the engine stuff down here, which tells you what's running and temperatures and oil pressures and whatnot. And the chart plotter in the middle is the main chart plotter. Now, AMSA regulations, you've got to have two. It's got a completely independent system, which has got all independent measuring devices like wind speed and a separate GPS. So in case that one fails, you've got a total backup. And the other one's the radar, which I used this morning. It was a bit murky out there, and turned the radar on. Got the nav lights on. The boat is being painted to blend in. Not normally what you do with a boat, because you actually need to be seen, but it works well up here. But yeah, I turned the nav lights on.
Speaking of the boat, do you want us to give a quick rundown on the boat itself?
Yeah, she's been designed and built in 2018, designed by Incat Catamarans in Hobart and built by Richardson Divine Marine, which is next door. So she was designed, they cost about 12 million. 2 million of that was spent in the research and design phase because they wanted something just specially for the river and the cruise in the harbour. You don't often see a lot of boats with a glass like this. We've got 10 tons of glass, and it's terrifying when you're out in the ocean with all this glass, but we don't go out in the ocean for long. So it's really designed for viewing, and the seating's arranged for the guests on board.
And what about yourself? You're obviously master skipper, I'm assuming?
Yeah, Master 4.
Yep.
Yeah, I've done various different work. I worked at ports commercially, and I've done tourism before, but came back to tourism because I got tired of working the night shift, and it's good money, commercial work, but it's not great for family life. So I came back to tourism. It's a bit more relaxed. And, this is a great journey. This is one of the best boat trips I've ever done. So yeah, I live in Tasmania. Although I am a Kiwi originally, I'm a Taszealander. So I've been here a number of years. I'm married to a local over in Hobart. And
some would say Tasmania's almost like the geography of New Zealand, so you can't feel too far away from home.
oh, it's just like home for me. This is we're 42 degrees south here. I was most of my life in New Zealand was 43 degrees south. So similar temperature, similar season, similar weather. Yeah, very similar.
Yep, beautiful. No, thank you very much, sir.
No worries.
The river flows generally south and to the west of the Gordon Range before flowing west through the Gordon Gap and spilling into Gordon Lake, an impounded reservoir created by damming the Gordon at the Gordon Dam.
Hey guys. Okay, so Heritage Landing is the first stop on the cruise at the top of the Gordon River. You can get off, it's about a 400 metre fixed walk, and you can wander around and have a look at the rainforest.
I was wondering if I could grab a couple of champagnes.
We do alcoholic beverages with lunch.
Tell you what, this is not a bad life.
Farewell to old England forever. Farewell to my rum culls as well. Farewell to the well-known Old Bailey, where I used for to cut such a swell, singing tooralai, ooralai, atati, tooralai, ooralai, tooralai, ooralai, atati, we're bound for the Botany Bay. Not the captain as is our commander, nor the bosun.
Currently standing in the muster yard, where they gather the convicts morning and evening to account for them. There were 1,200 convicts that went through the settlement over the 12 years. At top muster, there were 531 people on the island, 386 of whom were convicts. There were 95 military with wives and civilians, and there were 27 children. The children, however, are families of our military and civilians. They are not convicts. The person in charge of everyone on the island was the commandant. And the first commandant we had here was Lieutenant John Cuthbertson. Now, Cuthbertson is described as a sadistic bully with peculiar qualities. He's said to have drowned off the island accidentally. The story goes, the ship broke its mooring one night in a storm and Cuthbertson took his own boat out to retrieve it. His boat was overturned by a wave in that same storm. He and the crew waved back to shore for help! Help! And the convicts just waved back. Hi, how you going? The pile of sandstone blocks over here are the collapsed remains of a retaining wall. It held up a raised section of the island on which sat the shoemaker's workshop, carpenter's workshop and cookhouse. And at the top of the hill above that was where the commandant's office sat, so he could oversee the working area of the island. Right below the commandant's office, we see the land slope away quite sharply just here. This section is actually a quarry. The convicts have shortened the original length of the island by 40 metres there. At the base of the quarry was a millstone where they would grind wheat into flour using a capstan. And this is where the hard men in chains were put to work during the day in their chains before being shipped back to Grunt Rock to sleep in their chains during the night. Now, I do have a slight apology to make to everyone because I did welcome you to Sarah Island. However, we haven't actually stepped foot on the original island yet. Everything we've walked along, indeed the entire lower half on this side, this is all actually reclaimed land. It was reclaimed by the convicts using that quarry rubble and timbers from around the harbour. The original height of the island is actually at the top of the stairs just over here. But you can't build ships and then push them off a cliff to launch them, so they had to build something closer to the water to work with. And it will explain how they did that at our next stop. But before we do move on, I need to note that there were 36 structures on the island at its peak. Most of these were built using timber. They used brick and sandstone for the fireplaces. It's been 185 odd years since the closing of the settlement. Much like our windbreak fences, the timbers have fallen and rotted away. So today, get prepared to see a lot of brick and sandstone fireplaces. Let's keep moving.
All the ship's crew, nor the first nor the second class passengers, knows what we poor convicts go through, singing tooralai, ooralai, atati, tooralai, ooralai, tooralai, ooralai, atati, we're bound for the...
So from the jetty where you got off the boat all the way up this side of the island to where the saw pits are situated, they actually reclaimed the land using marine pigsty engineering. And they did this to build docks, jetties, roads and wharves for the shipbuilding industry. What they did was they got large blue gum timbers. They laid them flat on the harbour floor parallel to the shoreline. They then laid timbers back on top of this connecting back to the shoreline. If you have a couple layers of this, you end up with a box-like structure, much like a pigsty or log cabin. You then top that off with a wooden platform, top the platform off with rock, rubble and gravel from the quarry, and you end up with very solid working surfaces. However, these structures are actually built hollow underneath, so over the years they have collapsed and subsided. What we do still have today are the base supporting timbers. There's 150 blue gum logs lining the side of the island. We do have quite a high barometric tide today, however, so they are a bit harder to see. But if the breeze hasn't picked up too much when you get back to the jetty, have a look in the water. You should be able to see a few of the logs sitting down in the base there. They were quite clear earlier. Now this promontory out behind me, this one's actually still at the original built up height because they filled this one in so they could support the new commissariat store. It's where they kept the supplies for the island. You know, the good stuff, rum, tea, sugar, tobacco, the stuff that you lot are not allowed to have. And they had to keep it under constant guard because the convicts kept trying to steal the supplies. Next to the promontory on the far side is the work basin, where they kept the workboats out of the harsh winter gales. These also had to be kept under constant guard because the convicts kept trying to steal them to escape. There were 180 escape attempts over the 12 years. 1 in 5 was successful. James Goodwin escaped from a work camp up the Gordon River. He made his way inland through the Central Highlands, and he arrived on the outskirts of Hobart 6 weeks later, where he was immediately recaptured. They didn't send him back here though, he would have done it again. Instead, he was assigned to work for the government. He was to map out the Central Highlands for the Surveyor General's office. And Goodwin had kept such a detailed sorry, my brain just had another word. But he had kept such a detailed record of his track as he'd gone through the Central Highlands that it made it back to the island by 1829. And the convicts knew of Goodwin's escape route quite well. The convicts by 1829 also knew of a good little escape route up the coast. But in 1829, where you see the escape attempts, they dropped to almost nothing. And that is the second puzzle of the island. Because why, when the convicts finally know how to get out of here, would they stop trying to escape? Now, behind you is a large pile of rubble under the flowers there. That is the remains of one of the fireplaces for the military barracks. The military barracks housed 95 military with their wives and their children in a dormitory style, in a building that was described as adequate for 50 to 60 men. So it was a little bit crowded with more than double that living there at its peak. Keep moving.
Tain't leaving old England we cares about. Tain't cause we misspells what we knows, but because all we light-fingered gentry hops around with a log on our toes, singing tooralai, ooralai, attity, tooralai, ooralai, tooralai, ooralai, attity. We're bound for the Botany Bay. Oh, had I the wings of a turtle.
How good was that?
That was so good. So that was Sarah Island, which is the second stop after lunch, after that great lunch on board.
Amazing.
It's an hour tour. Guides are on the island and they meet you and take you off in groups. And the story they tell is just so informative and so much fun.
And
a lot of
in
laughs.
total character as well.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Well worth it. Absolutely loving this. Like, what is it? What was it about? $300 and something. I'll check that later, and I'll let you know in our final review. But the whole day has just been brilliant.
Yeah, amazing. Another great day. Let the adventure continue.
Okay guys, so that was Gordon River Cruises, Spirit of the Wild. Now we did the upper deck. It was $315 per person. It was pretty much about 6-hour day. Included light breakfast, morning, afternoon tea,
And
lunch, tea, coffee, and alcohol is included. So there was wines and
And no, I did not have one wine per hour.
cheese and bickies and all that included, and it's all, they use all Tasmanian produce too, so Tasmanian cheeses, Tasmanian wines, absolutely spectacular. Obviously you've just seen the footage. It was just a beautiful cruise, and we cannot
Thoroughly enjoying.
Yeah, we cannot recommend this highly enough. The crew were fantastic. The skipper's great, as you can see. Skipper Ross, to have a chat to him about the boat and its workings. It's like we're speechless. It has to be one of the better tours that we have done in a long time. Yeah. So get on when you come down to Tassie.
Do yourself a favour.
Yep. in the southwest, Tassie, Strahan, Gordon River Cruises, Spirit of the Wild. Get on it.
Lash out. Treat yourselves. It was amazing.
Later, guys. Cheers. The West Coast Wilderness Railway is a reconstruction of the Mount Lyell Mining and Railway Company in Western Tasmania between Queenstown and Strahan. The railway is significant because of its ABT rack system to conquer the mountainous terrain through rainforest, with original locomotives still operating on the railway today. Now operating as a tourist experience with a focus on sharing the history of Tasmania's west coast, the original railway began operations in 1897 as the only link between Queenstown and the port of Strahan. The Mount Lyell Mining Company began operations in November 1892. The railway officially opened in 1897 and again on the 1st of November 1899 when the line was extended from Tupacana to Strahan.
Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
There are two types of carriage journeys offered for each departure. This is the wilderness carriage, which provides a more luxurious experience with a little more space and carriage balcony. Start your journey with a glass of Tassie sparkling wine or juice and enjoy a series of small meals served throughout your journey.
Keep in mind that it's only four passengers on the balcony at the time, and any questions feel free to ask. In the end, when you arrive and on the way back, you will swap the seats. So I'll just please ask you to swap your belongings from one place to the
Cute little boardwalk coming off the train. Just to stretch our legs. This is that lower landing.
was difficult to look after. Cameras are
Yes, no. Oh, I've got it for you. Did my foot taste any good?
first bird to come through was your colour. You won a prize. That prize was usually a lolly and given by the guard of the train. The boys, on the other hand, spent days organising their games. The first day they would come on board with sharpened sticks. Can you imagine that happening now? They would be classed as offensive weapons. Tana through to Strahan. That took 11 months. 11 months of men
guys. All right, so we have just done
The Wilderness West Coast Railway in Tasmania, Strahan.
so down in Strahan, another experience that you can do is the West Coast Wilderness Railway.
Did you not say West Coast?
Yeah, Wilderness West Coast, close.
Same.
Same, but different. West Coast Wilderness Railway.
So even you can't get it.
It's a tongue tie.
Say that 10 times.
Yeah, so this is another experience you can do in Strahan. A lot of fun. It's basically a diesel train halfway to Queenstown out of Strahan, and then on the other side they do a steam train out of Queenstown halfway back. So it's and they can meet in the middle at the station was called, what was it? Double Barrel.
Double Barrel.
Double Barrel's the midpoint. So you can actually do both halves.
The double.
Yeah, the double. You can do both halves. Half the diesel out of Strahan and then the steamer out of Queenstown. We did the diesel out of Strahan. We did the full experience package, so it was about $190 a head, and that gave you sort of morning tea.
Canapes, morning tea, lunch and afternoon tea.
Yep.
Tea and coffee, hot chocolates, water all complimentary.
Alcohol not included, but
mind
you
you,
can get alcohol on board though.
as you were boarding, you were able to have an apple juice, orange juice, or guess what? A champagne.
Yeah,
Sorry, sparkling.
So what time was it? About 9:30 in the morning.
That
9
was
o'clock.
8:30.
8:30 in the morning. And
You'll
Sam
have to
Sam
see
had
the post to get
about 8:30 in the morning, and Sam had the sparkling.
Yes.
So but otherwise, alcohol is paper purchase, so it is available, but it's not included in that $190 a head if you go the full experience. There is cheaper options, obviously. Goes for about 5 hours in total. Stops at a couple of points along the way. No toilets on board the train, but you have got toilets at the stops. It was a really cool experience though. Really enjoyed it. I'd recommend it.
Yes, definitely. Great for families, little kids who love trains. It is really, really cool.
Yeah.
At their stops, there is only cash only. There are little souvenir gift shops where you can purchase the honey that they recommend, which is the leatherwood honey, which is really beautiful. It's got its own unique taste, but cash only, no card, as there is no phone reception whatsoever when you are on the train.
The short sort of 15-20 minute rainforest walks at each of the stops as well, just to stretch the legs. But look, at the end of the day,
really cute.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the main experience is about the train trip. It's the old saying, it's the experience is about the journey as much as about the destination. And in this case, you can get out onto the balconies of the rear and take photos and that sort of thing as the train's going along. But very cool.
The photos do not do it justice. The footage that we have tried to capture, it just doesn't pick up the colours that you actually see with your own eyes. So it is well worth doing your own yourself and actually,
just really experience
really
it.
taking it all in with your own eyes, not your camera.
So the West Coast Wilderness Railway, out of Strahan and out of Queenstown, two separate ones. Well worth the experience, guys. We'll catch you later.
See ya.
So I hope you enjoyed that episode. Strahan, that's it for us. For me though, the absolute highlight was the Gordon River cruise.
I agree. It really was good. You know, from the minute you got on the boat to getting off the boat, you were pampered and spoilt. It was just really nice to be on.
It was brilliant. So we move on from Strahan and go deeper into the Tasmanian southwest, about as deep as you can go. It's the end of the road.
Relaxation time.
Yeah, we do wind down a little bit. We do a little bit of touring around, and the scenery is spectacular. You will see that again. Tassie just continues to
spoil us with
spoil
all
us
these new views with every corner that we turn.
And speaking of being spoilt by Tasmania, the whole state is RV friendly. The donation camps, the free camps, the golf clubs that you can park up behind. It is just unbelievable. $10 a night, free, $20 a night. It's just, words don't describe how good Tasmania provides for the RVs. It's just brilliant.
It is.
So we move on. The scenery is spectacular, well worth a look. That's episode 7. That'll be the next one. Otherwise, guys, until then,
see you next time.
Bye.
Here we go. All we need